Hey guys, it's Will with Terrible Infant here with another figurine unboxing. This is actually a very exciting day. I say that a lot at the start of these videos, but I am really excited about this one. So, if you're unfamiliar, Agronautics is a company that does something called Throbbleheads, which is like a punk rock bobblehead. And so we've done a couple of videos on those before. We did the Gaby Haynes one, who's the front man for the Butthole Surfers, and then we did Skeleton, who I'm actually wearing on my shirt right now, who is the kind of like the mascot for Rancid, and I'm a huge, huge Rancid fan, as I've spoken about before many times on this channel. So what do we have here? We have Cokie the Clown. So I have to preface this by saying, when I was first getting into punk, the first punk band I got into on my own was Rancid. Out Come the Wolves came out when I was 12. Got that album on CD. I absolutely loved it. It was actually also one of the first, if not the first CD I bought, because I was buying cassettes at that point. And then I got the second Suicide Machine records at some point when that came out. I think that was like 1998. The first Goldfinger record I had, which I think was 96 or so. So that was like, so it was like 95, 96 I did Rancid and Goldfinger. A little bit later I got into the Suicide Machines. My dad gave me the first Sex Pistols record, and this was all kind of the time when I was getting into punk, and I got the Punk-O-Rama 2 compilation. And so the skateboarders in this was when I was in like, whatever, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, right? Middle school and high school. The skateboarders in my middle school and high school were the people that I would go to and be like, oh, what punk bands are you listening to, right? Because I was like, oh, they skateboard. They must know about punk music and stuff. And I invariably, every single time, I'm not making this up, NOFX was the band, the first band that they told me. And then they would say, like, Bad Religion, Pennywise, whatever. But it was always NOFX, and like half of them had NOFX t-shirts, and it was like, I swear they coordinated the day on which they would wear them, so they weren't all wearing them at once, but it was just NOFX, NOFX, NOFX all day long. And so finally, I picked up the record So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes. That was the first NOFX album I got. I absolutely loved that album. I could still remember like all the lyrics. I listened to that album a lot. Like when I think I was a freshman in high school, and so I remember like a lot of the lyrics to it and the melodies from the songs and stuff like that. And then I went back and listened to like all of their other stuff. And so here we arrive at 20-something years later, 25 years later, 22 years later. Cokie the Clown, Throbblehead, in my possession. So Cokie the Clown, if you don't know, the bass player and most of the time vocalist for NOFX is Fat Mike, right? Who also I think runs Fat Records, the label that NOFX is on. And so Fat Mike created this alter ego named Cokie the Clown. And there were a couple EPs, and then a full-length album came out pretty recently. I think it was I think it was 2019 that the Cokie the Clown record came out. And the full-length one, but obviously he had been a presence before that on these EPs and stuff like that. And Fat Mike did some performances too. I think he did LA, San Francisco, I don't know where else, Boston or New York or somewhere like that, where he performed as Cokie the Clown. And the full-length Cokie the Clown record actually came out of a period of like personal turmoil for him. I think there was like a divorce, and there was that thing where he made some offhanded comment at a NOFX show that was recorded by someone that ended up going on the internet and became really controversial, and a bunch of their shows were canceled. And I honestly can't even remember the comment that he made. I remember when it happened, and I remember thinking, like, well, like knowing Fat Mike obviously is a joke, right? And he's just being a dick, or he's like drunk or something like that. Not like a dick, like he's an asshole, but like he's known for making like confrontational, dickish comments. That's like his public persona, right? And I have to say, and I'm not going to get into this like a lot here, because like, you see a lot of grumblings on like internet forums, like, oh, Fat Mike's an asshole, or like, I met him once, he wasn't nice to me, or whatever. I will forever have respect for Fat Mike and never say anything bad about him, because he is, although I'm a huge Against Me fan, and Against Me was on Fat Records at one point, and when Laura Jane Grace came out as trans, a lot of people who were fans of the band were kind of like, I don't know what's going on here, and people in the band left the band because it was too much for them to deal with, and Fat Mike played bass on Transgender Dysphoria Blues. He's just on one of the tracks, and in Laura Jane Grace's book, she talks about Fat Mike and kind of being friends with Fat Mike and Fat Mike's wife at the time, and how they were always really good to Against Me, and even through like very difficult times and stuff like that. And so I think that it's very easy to assume who someone is based on meeting them once or some public persona that they have. But when people show truth in action, I think that's a lot stronger testament to who they are. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about that. That's just my 2 cents. So the boxes for these are always really awesome. We're going to drop in close-up shots so that you can see the artwork on the box and a close-up of the figurine. I'm going to take the figurine out now, and we will check it out together. So here we go. We have Cokie the Clown, and as you can see, or if you're familiar with the You're Welcome is the name of the full-length record, the debut full-length under the alter ego that Fat Mike put out. This is modeled after that. So it's 7 inches tall. It's made out of poly resin. I don't know a lot about materials that are used in the making of things, so I couldn't honestly tell you too much. I know what resin is, obviously. I don't know what the poly is, like what it's made out of. He's got his little squirting flower on. He's got a noose instead of a necktie. It's a little bit morbid. It's a very dark record, and he's a very dark character. His makeup kind of reminds me of the Crow a little bit. Eric Draven, right, with like the black slashes through his eyes. He's got his hat on and his little kind of like ska pants going on here and his big clown boots. So that's Cokie the Clown, and he is the alter ego of Fat Mike, who is the bassist and primary vocalist for NOFX, the legendary punk band, right? So this is made by Agronautica, and so these are hand numbered, which I forgot to say, but this is number 539 out of 1,000, and they are limited to 1,000 pieces worldwide, and I think that is true of all of the Throbbleheads that Agronautica produces. We will put a link to their website in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you have found this video on Instagram, then there will be a link in our profile or our bio, or whatever you want to call it, like our kind of front area there, where you can go and discover more about this. And I think Agronautica I think they're on Instagram, so I'll just tag them too on Instagram so you can head over and find their stuff. So my name is Will. You've been watching Terrible Infant. This is Cokie the Clown, like I said. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.